So I wasn't raised in an explicitly Christian home. I wasn't raised under the hearing of the gospel. I wasn't raised going to church every Sunday. I was raised with a basic understanding there was this book that kind of collected dust on the shelf, and I knew that there was someone named Jesus who died and rose again, and that was his book. That's what I knew.
I always had a little bit of faith in my heart for the one true God, and a belief in Tawheed and the oneness of God and the faith of Abraham alayhi salam, even before I became a Muslim.
I got so drunk that I blacked out, and when I came to at a different club much later in the AM hours, and I remember I came to my real senses with a pill in my hand. I remember that while I'm holding on to this pill, I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing? I look up and security is running over while I'm in a circle of people, all with pills in their hands. Security is running up, and I had a choice to make. I could drop the pill and they could find it and blame me for it, or I could take the pill and make it disappear.
But the major step for me was my own self-destruction. Born into an immoral situation. My mother was addicted to drugs and left me when I was 2 years old. And my dad was left to raise me by himself. And, this had a major impact on my mind as a child and led me to have major anger issues and depressions when I was a kid. And this is what started me out on the path of darkness, was the immorality and the breakdown of the family. And these are the things that led me into the lifestyle that I would come accustomed to later in life.
So selfish. It was all about me and what I wanted to do and my pleasure and my pursuit of everything that I wanted. I abandoned my wife at one point to go to Las Vegas for a couple days, and I remember that from the moment I got to Vegas at nighttime, I was high on ecstasy. I was rolling on ecstasy for days. Ecstasy. I tried cocaine. I was drinking. It was marijuana. It was everything I could to stuff into this weekend of just pure, unbridled idolatry.
Before I became a Muslim, I was addicted to drugs, and I hung out with gangs who, terrorized people and selling drugs and doing drugs and drinking alcohol. These are all the things that I engaged in before I became a Muslim.
I remember this one night that I took 6 tabs of ecstasy. I was at the point where it wasn't working anymore. I had to take so much to feel even anything. And I remember that all at once, my whole body felt like it was on fire. It only got worse in steps and steps and steps, and I went and I ran to the freezer and I grabbed a bag of ice, and I ran into my friend's room and his bathroom, and I poured this bath full of cold water, and I dumped the ice in it, and I jumped in this bathtub with ice, and I put all my pulse points under the water, and I remember that I was in that bathtub just for a limited time, and I just melted the ice. It just was gone. It was doing nothing. It wasn't stopping me from getting hot. It wasn't stopping my heart from racing. It was getting worse and worse, and I remember that at a certain point I realized this isn't going to help. I'm going to die.
And the turning points in my life for me was when my father had to carry me into the hospital like a little baby in the fetus position because I OD'd on drugs. Or the time that I had a gun pointed in my face when I got robbed over a drug deal gone bad. Now, these are the things that I have a hard time getting over, and I'm ashamed of still to this day.
So I remember that I immediately started to pray, and I was high, and I was hot, and I was dying. And I prayed, I said, God, I know that this is because of my sin. I know, God, that you have every right to kill me. And I said, please just don't kill me yet. Please just crush my life, destroy my life, and help me. About 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later or so, God crushed my life from about 6 a.m. to noon, all in one day. My phone was shut off, my electric was shut off, my water was shut off, I had an eviction notice on my door, they repossessed my car, and the person I was working for at the time told me, I'm not going to pay you, sue me. So I'm left now in this apartment with total silence, and that's where God really started to speak to me, through His Word.
But in all that madness, something happened to me, because Wallahi, God is my witness. For some reason, I was searching for the truth in all this darkness that was surrounding my life. And that was the day that I picked up my first Quran and I started studying Islam.
I don't know if I ever really trusted you. I don't even know if I've ever really turned from my sin to you. I said this. I said, all I know is this, God, I'm turning to you now. Please forgive me. Please save me. I said, take over my life. And here's what I said. I said, you're the boss. I said, you're the boss. You tell me what to do. You run my life. You save me and take over my life. And that's where everything changed.
And upon my studies of Islam, it wasn't until many years later that I was liberated by one simple phrase, and that's La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, that there is no God but God, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger of God.
If God hadn't allowed me to step into that and to experience it, I wouldn't have known the right message, the right thing to tell everybody else, because I wouldn't have tasted it. And there is no other explanation as to how it happened. It wasn't my strength. I'm not good. I don't have the discipline to handle these sorts of things. It was just God.
Now, since I've made this declaration, no longer am I unbearable to be around. And this is noticeable not only by myself, but my loved ones and those who are close to me. It was this gift, and this mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me that made me the person that I am today. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that more and more and more and more people will be guided to this path, inshallah. Islam saved me from hell. It saved me from the personal hell that I created for myself.